Hey everybody, my name's Wyl Villacres. I'm the head of customer success here at Tability, and today we're going to talk about what are OKRs. And this is going to be a high-level conversation that's really just sort of getting a basic understanding of what OKRs are and then how to think about starting to set them. If you're interested in a deeper dive into OKRs, both into writing OKRs and to figure out which kind of OKRs to set, we have our goal setting masterclass. I highly recommend checking that one out. If you're brand new to OKRs, this is the place to start. So when we're starting off with this idea of what are OKRs, let's just jump right into answering that question. OKRs are just a way of structuring our goals consistently. So when we're thinking about sort of, I need to roll out this new process, chances are you've done something similar before, it just might be a little bit different. So OKRs is a methodology like MBOs, V2MOM, SMART Goals, Balanced Scorecard. You've done some sort of goal setting methodology in the past. And what that means is that this is just a formalized way of writing a set of goals that have consistent rules so that anyone in the organization, if they looked at someone else's or another team's OKRs, they would be able to very quickly understand what that team is working on, how much progress they've made, because everything is structured in the same way. And so when we're thinking about OKRs, because they're very similar to a lot of other methodologies, it can get a little bit confusing into what OKRs are and what OKRs aren't. And so if we think about this, OKRs are a way of having a consistent goal structure, but they're also really just a way of objectively being able to say whether we've hit a goal or not. So we want this to be a place where we can really say, without a doubt, we've set a goal and we've accomplished it. Or we set a goal and we missed out on that goal. But we need to have some sort of very clear framework in order for that to be objective. So we want to give ourselves the ability to have those conversations and be able to call out explicitly, this went well, this didn't go well, so that there's no confusion around whether or not a goal got hit. We'll get into that in a little bit more detail in a little bit. The other thing that OKRs are is they're for making a big impact or a significant change in your business. And what that means is that this isn't a place to just sort of do business as usual. This isn't a place where we're just sort of, consistently measuring as we would, year round. This is a place where we're looking to make a fairly significant impact. And what that means is that OKRs are not a really complicated way of rewording your existing goals or your KPIs. Now, KPIs can be a really great jumping off point for figuring out what goals to create. Again, check out the Goal Setting Masterclass if you want more information in that. But by themselves, KPIs aren't going to just automatically be able to become an OKR. An OKR has multiple parts to it beyond what a KPI would. So we don't want to just try to take what we have and sort of Frankenstein it into an OKR. So we want this to be a place where we are generating a new goal or a new set of goals when we're creating OKRs. OKRs are also not a way of encompassing everything that we're working on. This isn't just another dashboard for you to have to be able to show management that you're working. If that is what we roll out, it just becomes this sort of burdensome, heavy, hard to update, hard to keep relevant document that really doesn't help anyone in the organization. We want this, again, to be just those goals that are big and transformational, not the everyday work that we're doing from day to day. So when we're thinking about rolling out OKRs, we want to make sure that our team is in a headspace or in a place or has the bandwidth to be able to think strategically, to be able to really work on things that are more transformational as opposed to just those day-to-day putting out fires, which means that OKRs aren't for everyone. Now, that's not a blanket statement that says you can never do OKRs or you should never do OKRs or there's anyone that OKRs won't work for, but it is saying that we need our team to be in a place where OKRs can be a useful tool as opposed to feeling like a burdensome extra thing that they have to do. And that means that you need team buy-in. And a lot of the ways that we get team buy-in is by both explaining what OKRs are supposed to do, but also making the expectations around OKRs explicitly clear. These are a way of making transformations, taking what we're already doing and improving it, not adding extra layers on top of what we're already doing. This is an extra, this is a way of shifting, changing, or transforming what we're doing so that it's something that teams can really rally behind. We also want to make sure that they have purpose as well. And that can be a little muddy too, where people can say, yeah, I need my teams to have better metrics. That's the purpose. But another way of thinking about purpose is really just understanding where OKRs sit in the organization and why we do OKRs as opposed to just sort of measuring our KPIs. And so when we're thinking about those OKRs and where they're at in their organization, they're really just the way that we can translate the day-to-day work into something strategic that's supporting the company mission. So if we can think of the mission statement as our big North Star, what we align our company to do, the reason that we do everything in this company, we can then think of our values or maybe your pillars or your vision. This can take a lot of different shapes as more of when we're picking our direction as an organization towards that big mission, what are the things that we want to do? How do we want to serve our customers or serve our team members in order to drive ourselves to that big mission? That's those big values. They help us set that strategic direction at a little bit more of the lower level. So instead of our mission being sort of what we do to change the entire company all of the time, our values are more of that like sort of annual planning. Hey, this year we really want to focus on bolstering this aspect of our business. OKRs are what we do to say, all right, based on the pillars that we have, what kind of goals should we set in order to set our business up to pursue that pillar, that value that's going to help us support that mission statement. More of a quarterly cadence. So OKRs are, what am I going to do this quarter to push us ahead to support one of these big things that our company is always focusing on, our big rocks that support our mission. And then our daily tasks go into those OKRs to say, how can I make sure that that OKR is successful in order to support that value, in order to support that mission. So that's where we're sort of translating the information into and from. It's all through this individual OKR spot. Now, the OKRs themselves, if we're going to dig into them at a little bit of a deeper level, we're really looking at two different parts to setting goals. Part number one is our objective, and part number two is our key results. And when we're thinking of OKRs and objectives and key results and like how do all these pieces fit in, it can feel real complicated, but it's really basic. Our objective is just what are we trying to do, and our key results are how are we going to measure whether we did that or not. So in this example, our objective is to have an amazing quarter with Tability. How can we say that we did that? Well, we've got a couple key results that we would use to measure our progress. Now let's start at those individual pieces. Let's start with objectives. Objectives are the what. They are really starting off just with a problem. What is the problem that we have, and how are we going to solve it? And if we solve it, what is the end result? So if we think of this problem, we're not getting as many signups from our marketing site. If we solved this problem, where would we be? And so that's what we would put down as our objective. So if we take this problem and we try to objectify it, we would turn it into something like make our product irresistible to visitors. If we're getting way more signups from our marketing site as we want, then great, we're going to have a pretty irresistible product to our visitors. So this is sort of what we're trying to do when we create an objective, which means that an objective is sort of by nature a lofty goal. To quote John Doerr, objectives are the stuff of inspiration and far horizons. These are things that we really want to be something that can be not just we're going to make a small improvement, but we're going to make a big change, we're going to make that big improvement. These should also be exciting. They should be inspirational. They are the ideal place that we want to be. So instead of something like just get more sales, and I'll move my face here, we want to say things like turbocharge our sales motion, smash our revenue targets, or if you're a little bit more corporate and you want to keep the language a little bit more clear, optimize our sales process to reach our revenue targets. All of these really, at the end of the day, just are not measurable. These are something where we would want to look at having multiple different ways of measuring our progress, and that's where our key results are going to come in. So key results are how we just measure our progress. This is where we want to make sure that we have some sort of metric that we can dig into. So since objectives really shouldn't be measurable by themselves, we want these to be the way that we can determine whether or not we've accomplished this goal. And when we're thinking about these big, lofty, exciting, inspirational goals, that means that we probably want to have a couple different ways of approaching this goal as well. It's not just one metric to one objective. We're going to have a couple different options for how we're going to measure our success. Now, when we're thinking about our measurements for success, that doesn't mean that we just want to throw numbers at the wall and hope that something sticks and it's going to go fine. Not all of the metrics are going to really tell us whether we've accomplished that goal. So if we think about the key result of like complete 3 projects, that's not a great key result, because I can complete 3 projects, do a terrible job, not actually support that objective, but it's still going to count as, oh, I succeeded in my key result because I did the 3 things. So we don't want to game the system. We really want to just focus on how do we accurately measure whether we've accomplished this goal. So if we look at our old example of making our product irresistible to visitors, we were trying to get more signups. So signups can be a metric that we are going to immediately gravitate towards. But what other ways can we say that we've made our product irresistible to those visitors? We can look at things like time on page. Are people really interested in it? We can look at unique page views. Are people wanting to get a ton of information? And we'll still have those conversions as a core piece of this. Now, this was just an overview for key results. There's tons more to talk about. Go check out the other videos, but if you have more questions, I'm always happy to talk about it. You can either reach out through our messenger in the bottom right-hand corner of Tability, or you can email us at support@tability.io, and I'm always happy to help there as well. If you have any questions, let us know. Otherwise, looking forward to seeing you in the next one.